Now let's see this problem 283 of Leetcode which says move zeros. So we have a given integer array and we have to find or move all the zeros at the end. This is the final goal. This is not so hard, but at the same time you have to think of which approach is the best and optimal. Also you have to first figure out how brute force manner you can solve it. Basically we are working on pattern and we are covering 20 most frequently asked patterns in interviews. So let's dive into the brute force approach to solving this and see how that works. Now, this is a brute force approach which says every time if you find a zero, just move to the end, and this will give you like big O of n square time complexity. So, every time you find a zero, just move to the end and search again. So, obviously, this is not a better approach, but let's see how we can code this and make it work. So we have a given array and you can see there are two zeros we have to sort it. Basically not sorting, just to move that to the end. For that, let's first find the length of this array, or you can use nums dot length every time in the code. So once you have this length stored in n, we can iterate through the array using for loop which visit each of the element one by one. Now we have to check each of the element whether it is 0 or non-zero. So once we found out that it is 0, we have to actually add another loop inside the if condition. If it is found out as 0, we will move that to the end. So this is kind of heavy tasking that we are doing. We will take one element, if it is 0 we are moving to the end. So every time we are visiting same array two times, and every time we have to check this also, that if the last element is 0 then we don't have to revisit that again. So we are just subtracting I and the length of the array. So this is the brute force approach. Let's see how it works. So as you can see, this is the input array and we are able to move all the zeros to the end. But this is of n to the power 2 time complexity, which is n square time complexity. Now let's see the optimal approach, how this optimal approach works. So in this optimal approach, we'll not iterating each element at a time, or we are not bother about moving each zero to the end. Basically this can be solved in two different coding pattern. We can use two pointer technique or a single pass algorithm. So this example shows how this can be done using two pointers approach. One pointer just scan the array from beginning and the other pointer will just keep track of the zero element. So this will move towards the left pointer, and in this way we can solve this problem in big O of n in a single iteration. Now let's see how this optimal approach works in the code. So first we can define a current variable as 0. We can iterate a for loop and we don't bother about the index of it, so we can have a single iteration. Also here we are not trying to use two pointer, rather we are using the single pass algorithm. So that's why we are checking if it is not 0, the current element is not 0, then we are moving the current element to the right so that it will finish scanning the first element and going forward. So with this we are not only scanning the non-zero part, but we are also bringing all the non-zero element and assign to the current element and keep on incrementing. So we'll reach to a point where all the non-zero elements are placed at the left side and this current will point to the end of that array. So we'll parallelly run a for loop starting from the current and whatever left in the array, and we'll declare that as 0. So in this way we'll fill all the elements using the same array, shifting all non-zero to the left and assigning 0 to the right. Let's try to run and see. Yeah, so you can see this is the input and this is the output of this array. All the 0 is shifted towards right. Now let's take this program and try to run in Leetcode. So I'm just pasting it in Leetcode and let's see, try to run it, and you can see it is succeeded all the cases. Now let's submit this. So this is being submitted currently and you can see we are beating 99.8% of the folks out there. So these are the 20 patterns for which we are moving forward. Currently we are on move zeros. Going forward we'll able to solve all of these, and these are 20 patterns, and there are around 100 questions will, but we'll solve more than that.